We live, baby? We're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Happy Never After podcast. I am your host and guest today. Here's my therapist. Surprise!
Hi, everyone. It's me, Marc Gerber, and I am the new main host of the podcast.
Yep.
I'm taking over for today.
Uh-huh.
I know I've let you down in the past by saying I was going to be a regular side guest, a regular co-host. And
listen, the Hamptons consumed you.
It wasn't, no. And then I came back from the Hamptons, and I thought everything would go back to normal, and it just hasn't for me. So it's been like, you haven't asked me too many times, but you did ask me a couple times, and I wasn't able to. But in this case, I knew it was very important for me to be here today, and I dropped everything.
Well, I called you right away.
Yeah, because Mara was in crisis. And beyond being Mara's co-host, I'm Mara's friend first. We're comedy colleagues second. And I am her pseudo-therapist-ish kind of thing. I mean, technically that's a lot of relationships, so I don't know if I could really be her therapist fully, but I am a therapist, technically. Yes. I went to school, I got the doctorate, didn't get the license yet. My test is next week, which is another reason why I have not been very available.
Yes.
But in any case, I'm not going to give Mara real therapy, so to speak. It's going to be a combination of therapy, comedy, and friends.
Yes.
However that kind of melds together, but we will be taking a deep dive.
Yeah.
We are going to be taking a deep dive. I wore black for the occasion because it's a bit somber. I guess I didn't get the memo that
I never wear black. I never wear white. So this is
so
my
for
black.
you, right?
Yes.
You're always in black.
This is my funeral.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, why did your funeral? I like it. You're like an angel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
So why don't you get started? Even though I'm the host today, I think you should get started by giving an update on what's going on. I know some of it, but listeners and
we can kind of go forward and then we'll go backwards. So
okay.
I text you, I need help. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I took it very seriously.
I was like, I need help.
I responded immediately.
Yes.
And I called at the time I said I was going to call.
Yes.
Which is not like me.
I know.
As
not
a
at
friend.
All. No, not at all.
Yeah.
You're not a real on time kind of guy.
Or rely. Yeah. I want to work on that, man. It's like my New Year's resolution every year, and I got to do something more than serious than that, I think.
Yeah. No, I was in full panic. I woke up on Thursday morning with I didn't feel very well, so I canceled my personal training sessions, and George and I had been sharing a computer because he left my car unlocked and got the computer stolen. And so until it could get replaced, I was using his. And he left. He gave me a kiss goodbye to go to work. And about 8:50, I know the timestamp. It was 8:51 actually. I went out to the computer to download some of my personal training certifications because I was starting at a new place, and I opened up a tab. I didn't even look at what was open already. I just opened up a new tab, and then all of a sudden I looked over and the other tab was flashing, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And so I went over to that tab and opened it up, and it had to have been the world's most boring conversation. But he was asking another woman out that he had been in communication with for a while to go to dinner on Friday night when I would be out on the road. So, yes.
For dinner, proper date.
Proper date.
It wasn't just like a sex date.
No, they for dinner, and they had the. Honestly, I will post this conversation on my Instagram. It was like, he was like, she was like, "What'd you do today?" He goes, "Oh, I ran errands, and then I got a new debit card, and I had dinner with my brothers." And I was like, I'm so dry from this.
I'm going to stop you there for 1 second. I don't think you should post any of the conversation on your Instagram.
Oh.
I don't.
Why?
Because then you're getting into, I don't know if that gets into legal ramifications.
Oh, I just can't post any naked photos of him.
Well, what if you blur out the special area?
The mommy daddy buttons?
It doesn't need much of a blur, just a little tiny blur. That was just a bad small penis joke. I'm sorry. No, honestly, I don't know how, I don't want to interrupt you yet because you're still in the very beginning of the story, but I don't know how good that would be for you. I mean, I know catharsis feels good, and I know you have an audience and you're a public figure, so I understand that. And your brand, to some degree, are your relationships and their
my
demise.
openness and my vulnerability and
yes. So I understand that those are all factors.
Yes.
So we'll leave that on hold for now.
We'll leave that on the table. We'll leave that.
Okay.
We'll decide that later.
All right.
I want to.
So there's this boring conversation
the most
about
boring
a
conversation.
day.
And they just go back and forth for a while. And turns out he's had this Whisper app for which I don't understand. I looked it up. I can't figure it out.
I looked it up after you told me about it. I was like, what is this for 16-year-olds in Arkansas?
It's the dumbest thing that
like
I've ever seen.
It's people putting up like inspirational slogans and signing their name by it. It's like everything happens for a reason. I'm Thelma from Kentucky. That's what this app, I didn't look at an app. I just Googled it after you told me.
I know. I really did a deep dive. I downloaded every single Whisper. Like when you put up an app thing, and it was like I put in Whisper, and like all these ones came up, so I just started downloading all of them.
How did you get Whisper from their conversation? Their conversation.
She said, "What is your Whisper screen name?" So obviously she's having a lot of conversations, and gave out her email, and then so they're having this talk, and his screen name is our sex name. Like when we try to pick up other people, he chose.
Oh, I didn't even know you guys picked up other people.
Well, yeah, we go to we went to one sex party and I crushed it, but he didn't.
I didn't know that. So you guys, I'm sorry, I missed that. So you guys are poly-ish, esque-ish?
Together.
I
can't touch other men, but I could.
When you're on the road. Oh, you can't fuck other men at all?
No, we do everything together.
Okay.
And I can't touch other men, but we could bring a third in. We only did it the one time, and he also wanted to bring in his friend Nikki, and then he told me that they had never hooked up, and I was like, you guys have never hooked up? And then there was just like weirdness between them. And
I recall this, actually.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he goes, well, we did hook up when we first met, and I go, oh, so you did hook up. I go, everything you tell me is a lie.
So he's starting this what's ostensibly this like honest exploration and then starting it with a lie.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
That's not a good way to establish trust for something like
that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So then I did a little deeper dive, and he's just been communicating with chicks. And this is, I need to say this. I should have said this at the beginning. This is all from my perspective. This is like, he definitely has a side, I'm sure. I don't understand it, but I just want to say this is from my perspective.
Did you give him an opportunity to come on, or you don't want to do that? To come on the podcast? I want him to
fucking fall off a bridge.
So,
I don't care.
You're the one mentioning he didn't have, this is your side. I'm saying,
I know. I just want to be, because like I only see what I can see. You know what I mean?
All right.
Like I am.
We invite him to do the podcast, but we do it at the top of a bridge.
Yes.
All right. All right. So sorry, we do this a lot.
I know we go on. We're tangential. So I text him because his phone is on Do Not Disturb until 9 a.m. every day. So I text him at 8:54, and I said, I called, and it went to voicemail, and then I texted him immediately, and I was like, you need to call me within 40 seconds, or else all of this is going public. Like, this is, I'm shaking, is what I wrote. And
you're feeling impulsive in that moment.
I started like hiccup crying in that moment, and my body was like convulsing. Yeah. And then he didn't answer. I called his brother and told his brother what I found.
Are you close with his brother?
Yeah.
It was like the first time he's heard from you.
I just Googled his phone number. No, no, his brother and I are like cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll text him about like what to get him for his birthday and stuff. I'm like, what do you think about this gift? And he was supposed to make me a flyer, but he's not really good at following through. So he didn't. Like one time, it was fine. But he's a nice guy. He just has like.
So why did you go to the brother? Because
he understands him. Like I wouldn't have to tell the whole story of George. Like he knows George, So I could just be like, what do I do? Like what is?
You thought he was better to go to than your own friend, someone on your side.
Well, I called Andrew Collin, but he didn't answer.
Did you really?
I did.
Oh man,
that's how panicky I was. He didn't answer. He still hasn't called me.
He still and never called back. Nothing.
No, nothing.
Did you let him know that it was something that was serious?
No, I let it. I 4 rings, and I was like, that's enough.
You're just saying he has a missed call from you.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's not so bad. If he knows,
maybe he's on a plane, or maybe he was
mad at you.
Maybe he's we're still in our same relationship.
Maybe he's on a couch, farting on a couch somewhere doing his podcast.
Maybe he's eating somebody else's food. Who knows? So I I told George he has 40 seconds to call me. He goes, I'm in Restaurant Depot. He's a chef. Everybody knows this. And he was like, I'm in line. I go, I don't give a fuck what you're doing. You need to call me or else this is going to go public. And then he didn't call me.
Now, as your therapist,
Yes.
I would not endorse the threat that you made. I wouldn't as your therapist. As your friend and your comedy colleague, I probably would. So I guess that's 2 out of 3. But, you have to know that clinically, I couldn't endorse that. And I wouldn't now penalize you for it in any way, but I would try to get you to recognize that might not have been the best way to handle it.
Legitimately was in 100% emotional state.
I know. I'm not judging what you did.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
And it's within the normal confines of sanity. But it's a lot. It's not what everybody would do.
And then he wrote back, I can't. I'm in line at Restaurant Depot. And I said, I don't care. You have 21 seconds. And then I did post one of the conversations online because he didn't call me back. And then he finally did call and we talked. And he said he doesn't deny it. And because I didn't really give him I was like, what is this? It wasn't like, is this thing that I'm actually seeing with my own 2 eyes? You know, like
you gave him the open floor.
Yeah. And he said, because I Airbnb'd my place because I wanted to buy it, remember?
Yes.
So I lived with Casey, who is here with us today, and and I moved out a little earlier than I probably should have, and I moved in with him after Mexico because I had another 2 weeks of like 11 days of Airbnbers, and then I had a weekend where I was gone, and so I was staying with him in the overlap.
So you were staying with him in that moment?
I was staying in with it. I was in the other room. I was in the other one of the conversations that he was having. I had spent because I knew he was stressed out and he had worked a lot. So I gave him a massage. I brought him on this food tour. I brought all these food snacks. This was Tuesday. Food, sandwiches, like all these exotic things that I was like, I want to take you out to where I like food because he always takes me where he likes food and it's disgusting. And so I was like, let's go where I like food. And then we'll go to the Joker movie and then we'll go home and hang out. And we did all of that. And he's talking to her the whole time. I was like, you let me massage you. And you were talking to another woman.
He's compartmentalizing those 2 things. I would guess. I don't want to third party analyze him, but it sounds to me like he's completely able to separate doing those 2 things without feeling much remorse for it, which sucks for you.
It doesn't. When I talked to him about it, he looked very just
flat.
Blank. Yes, I was like, you're monotone. Your energy is just nothing.
Because, to admit wrongdoing in that moment and to, feel some compunction for it takes a lot of strength because you got to be able to feel that shittiness of how shitty you treated someone. So it's much easier to just kind of, block it out and be a man and not feel it. I think that's probably what was happening in that moment.
I feel like being a man is confronting it and being accountable.
Well,
I did call him not a man.
I didn't mean. I meant that like negatively, like that stereotype of you got to be a man, you got to not break down or whatever, or not feel things. That's what I'm guessing happened there. Is that he just he didn't want to admit to his glitches, and there are many, I'm sure at this point, and if he's not going to deal with them in his own personal life, he's certainly not going to deal with them in that moment when you're confronting him with them.
Yeah. So then it got a little...
And I got to say, he might have been shaken because you are making some threats, call me within this time or I'll post this. I'm not judging you for it, but I'm saying he also may have been on like self-preservation mode instead of really dealing with the situation in a way that,
is healthy.
Yeah.
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 My energy was probably like very, but I don't want to take any of the blame on this.
You're not taking any of the blame.
I know, but what I'm saying, I started to go into like, oh yeah, I was probably like a little bit attackish, but I'm like, fuck that. No. He deserved every single.
No. This is a one-sided violation, 100%. But we still need to talk about how everything went down and kind of look at it a little bit.
Okay.
But let's keep up. Let's keep going. Yeah.
So, I'm talking on the phone. He admits to everything, and he said, I don't like our living situation. I haven't liked it since we got back from Mexico, and I know that you want to live together. So this was my way of sabotaging it. And this is how he said it. This is my way of sabotaging it and getting you to move out.
Right. So he did that kind of wimpy move of, I'm not going to end this relationship or be honest about how I'd like it to look. I'm going to just passively let the relationship fall apart until you have to be the one to end it by discovering something like this or just by him treating you poorly.
I mean, obviously it was dissolving. There were little things along the way that were happening that were just not cool at all. Like he yelled at me in public in front of all of his friends, and I just started crying at the table the week before. And then actually the night, you know what's really crazy is I had Mike Vecchione on last week, and it's in the last episode, and we talked about it in the last episode where I had this dream. We had gone out drinking. This is real. I had a dream after I passed out that he was cheating on me with a woman named Rita. Like, I was reading the messages, but it felt so real that in the morning I was asking him about it. And then fast forward, it was like basically the same messages in real life, but on the computer, not on his phone. Isn't that insane?
I mean,
that was nuts. That was a dream. And then reality hit 2 days later. Isn't that crazy?
you must have been feeling something.
Yeah.
You know, you knew something intuitively was going on. And, you know, oftentimes with things like that, our intuition is right, you know. Our intuition about vaccines, not always right. You know, vaccines are going to give autism, you know, if that's your intuition, you're wrong. But intuition's about our personal life and the interactions that we have. We kind of get a sense. If you're intuitive, you get a sense that something's, you know.
Yeah, I was listening to Sword and Scale, and they were talking about this crime psychologist came on, and they said that your survival mechanism is your first like split second gut reaction is the correct one, and your body tries to keep you safe and keep you in survival, whatever emotional, physical thing. I was like, oh,
it's not always correct, because if you know, right now you could be in the woods and you see a stick and you freak out because you think it's a snake. And it's not. It's a stick. But your body's doing that, so in case it's a snake.
Is that someone taking way too much Adderall?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'm hallucinating.
So what I'm saying is, you know, you could go out with the next couple guys and think they're snakes, and they're sticks. They're just harmless little sticks. That, you know, that could happen. You can get jaded. But I think what you did was the opposite, where you thought a snake was a stick.
I did.
And
I really tried to make that snake a stick for a long time.
Yeah, because there's been it's probably a better analogy than this. But you know, you have been alluding to problems with your relationship and problems with him for a long time. Again, we're not trying to put any blame on you. What I'm trying to do is help you prepare for your next relationship.
I know. I really give everything 100%.
I know you do. 100%. But sometimes not everything deserves your 100%.
I know,
your 100%'s, you know, it's a lot to give. and in this case, I don't know. But listen, it doesn't give anyone the right to take advantage of it and treat you poorly and lie to you and deceive you and put you through hell. So
yeah, I said, do you understand the amount of emotional trauma that you are inflicting by doing it this way instead of just saying, hey, it's not working? You know, I said, I'm a person that's been kidnapped, and when that,
sorry.
I said, it was over. I was over 30. I was very flattered. I was like, me, what? So I said that was easier to understand because I could understand the motive. The guy wanted to make money. I was just, you know, a form of him surviving. Like this, there's no. I don't understand the motive. I just tell me. I'm very easy to communicate with.
I think a lot of it, he probably has a lot of indecisive feelings. So, you know, saying that would run the risk of losing you, of you finding someone else. And, you know, I think that he, for lack of a better expression, wanted to have his cake and eat it too, like a lot of men do. And
I know he did say, if you post this online, there's no turning around. I was like, there is no turning this around.
I'm posting this online because there's no turning around. Because
like, right. I gotta find a way out. Like last time we broke up,
that's a good point, you know, and it just occurred to me that you may have done all of those extreme things to put a certain level of finality into it. To say, like, I know if I do this, I can't come back. And in the moment, you knew that you had to really put the fork in it.
I put the fork in it for sure. And here's what I put the fork through. So I
Mara's gonna be like,
immediately
and although we are back together, and we
no, fuck that dude. I saw him last night for a second to give him back some of his things that I took, and because he owed me money. And so, but okay, so right afterwards we talk, and then I have to go to work for a couple of hours, and I decide that his family should know. So I sent all of his family the messages from all the girls, everything. And then I also sent them so when we went to Mexico, we went and visited my best friend, and we went there because they own all the hospitals in Mexico, and he got liposuction and butt augmentation.
George did?
George did, yeah.
Now you're just trying to embarrass him, but listen.
I'm not trying to embarrass him.
What are you going to do?
Wait,
butt
I'm not.
augmentation. What's the other one?
And lipo.
Lipo. But did they take the fat from the lipo and put it in the butt?
They did, yeah.
They did?
Yeah.
All right.
But they did it for basically, they only charged him the staff fee for the 2 nights that he was there. Nothing else. They didn't charge for the surgery. They didn't charge for the care.
Why is
they
that?
put us up because it's my family.
Oh, you orchestrated
this.
this.
Yes, and the whole time he's being deceptive. Yes.
Why did he want lipo and butt augmentation surgery?
Because he was lazy. Because he had
a bad butt? Did he have no butt?
He had no butt.
Did you put him up to this? You're like,
didn't.
if you want to
I
be
really
with me,
didn't.
there's going to be some changes that are going to be made with your
Honestly,
body and through my family.
As soon as he had his compression garment on, I was like, I never want to fuck this guy again. Like, it was like insane. I was so not attracted to him. I really like people that are ambitious and are active. He got us membership I gave him training for 6 months. I bought him training with my trainer. And then he got a gym membership. I sent him training programs, and then he shared all of my training programs with his friends. I was like, what are you doing? I wrote these for you. This is my job. Like, I'm not coming in giving away your food to my friends. Are you kidding me? I was pissed. But yeah, he did
right, because that's a lot of work for you. Yeah.
It's a lot of work for me.
Yeah.
And I don't really have a lot of extra time. So he was like, okay, I want to do this. And I knew that, and it's okay to get liposuction. Obviously, I have a breast augmentation. I got Botox. I would get lipo if it.
I know it's a sexist double standard, but I always just think it's weirder when men do stuff. I mean, I'm not into the women with the faces back, like on the Upper East Side kind of thing.
I'm gonna get that next year.
But I understand. You need to know.
Just a halfie.
No, don't do it, Mara. I'm telling you. I don't know why they did. And they all look the same up there, and it's crazy, but they keep doing it.
I know.
You wonder if there's women who've had it done, and they've done it subtle. They've done it well, and it works. So, like, you can be kitty woman, or you can be just.
Well, when we were in Mexico, I got Botox. It was crazy. So here, when you get Botox, they mix it with anesthesia. So it's half anesthesia, half Botox, and that's why it takes 4 to 7 days to set. They use a little acupuncture needle so it doesn't hurt. You feel a little crunchy in your muscle. It's great. There, they use like a horse needle. It's full Botox, and when they start pressing it into, it feels like you have a knife and that someone is hammering the knife into
your head.
I was crying so hard and asking them to stop that another nurse had to come in and hold my face down because they had to get
what
through
are the cartels doing the liposuction
Well,
down
they
there?
had to get the other side done. Or else I would have looked crazy, like because they did one side and I was like, I can't do it, and they were
Holy
like,
cow.
you're gonna look ridiculous. But this was on one of his like wellness checks, So I was like, oh, well, I'm here. I did say to everyone, and I apologize that George hurt his back, and that's why he had codeine in the hotel room. When really it was he had surgery.
You had surgery.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right.
I lied.
Sorry. I lipoed.
Yeah, I lied, Pod. So what I did...
You didn't lie. You just preserved his privacy about these treatments that
yes,
now are...
I did. Now are very public because what happened is I sent a very long text with picture to his family, and I said, I just want to let you know, I let him into my family. I am horrified that he took advantage of them and allowed them to take us on this great adventure and pay for all this stuff for him. And he completely was.
How long? That was recent, right?
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah.
The trip looked pretty marvelous.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
I thought you guys were legit at that point. Like, even I'm fooled by the magic of social media. I was like, oh man, Mara and George, they've established it. They've overcome one good vacation, and that's all you need to give that image out. I'm not saying it was
We
true.
did even when he was on codeine. We kind of fought. Well, I was like, he was being very annoying when we were there. He kept sharing, like taking everything of mine. Like I bought one of those remote control vibrators, and he was sleeping because he was on pills, and so I pulled open the box and I was just reading the directions and looking at all the different things. And he wakes up and he reaches over and he just takes it from me and goes into the bathroom and starts playing around with it. I was like, what the fuck?
So after butt augmentation surgery, he takes your vibrator and uses it in the bathroom on his newly formated butt.
Yes, that's why I had a donut in that one picture on my Instagram. If you look at it, the green dress.
What are you implying about him taking this vibrator in the bathroom? Was he using it?
No. I'm not implying it. What I'm implying is everything that I was doing, he would take, like I would get food before it would even be set down on the table. He would take a spoon and eat like a humongous bite. I'm like, what are you doing?
He's
like,
the little brother you never wanted.
I never wanted one. I have one and I don't talk to him. So it was just so much. I was like, what are you doing, dude? Like, just get your own shit.
Sounds a little disinhibited. Like he's like just not really. He's just kind of like behaving stream of consciousness or however he wants in the moment without giving you much thought. So now these kind of behaviors seem very consistent with what he did.
Yes. One time we were with both the doctors and do we have a question?
Well, some people are just asking about the blood stain and the ED pills. They want to know more like the real story of all of that, like what went down during that.
Oh, the first time he cheated? Okay, so honestly, I don't know where the ED pills went. He had 9 originally when I found them. I mean, there was a container of 10 from what the case said. And then when I found them, there were 9. He said that he gave one to his friend John the Butcher. And I was like, why would you give one to a butcher? It's such a weird thing to do. And I guess...
Maybe his meat was limp. That was bad. I had to say it. It was so bad. I knew that was bad before I said it.
And then they just slowly started disappearing. So I don't know the answer to that. I did recently send him the picture of him cheating because
you have a
I
picture of him cheating.
Yes, because I can't sleep. Like everything that I've seen, just like, okay, here's my feelings.
How did you get a picture of him cheating? He made a video and you sent it?
No, the girl put it up on Instagram.
Oh, they were just kind of affectionate, right?
She goes, we'll post too. It was like their Instagram together. It was like their thing, even though we were together.
They had a shared Instagram?
Well,
couple's Instagram?
She posted
made
it as if it was a shared Instagram.
Wow.
Yeah, and she goes, okay, we'll post too. Love George. Love my baby. And I was like,
jeez.
Yeah. So I just sent George that. And
he'd never seen it before?
He saw it the first time I found it.
Okay.
And then I said, I just want you to be aware of what I'm going through because every time I close my eyes, okay, here comes a tear.
Do we need tissues? Do we need tissues?
No, we don't need tissues.
Yes, we do. Bring tissues. Someone. No tissues here. We'll get them.
Tissues. I can live. I said, every time I close my eyes, that's all I see is all the messages and the pictures and all the proof that he was cheating. So...
Now, you sent this recently, and this was referring to the time he cheated. But he cheated. This time you're talking about with the picture was pretty long time ago now, right?
Yes.
A couple of years, year and a half.
A year and a half. It was the day that I left on my bike ride.
Right,
he went out with this woman.
I remember that moment. Yeah.
And then that's going in the. I wish I could post it, but Mark's telling me not to.
I don't
post
think
it
so.
Pile.
I don't think so. I know it's really hard, but you want to do as much high and mighty as possible. I know you're not going to do all high and mighty because you're you. And you are entertaining and you're an entertainer. And I'm not going to try and change the entire way you handle this to make it as smooth as possible because there's other factors. But I'd say be as high and mighty as you can because I think ultimately that'll be better for you. All right. And I'm not saying this to preserve him or,
It's just for me. I would hate to regret things that I do also.
And I don't know if you'll necessarily regret it. I just don't think it'll necessarily make things better in the long run,
Yeah.
So if you can avoid doing those kind of things, I would. But, maybe you can do some small things that will give you some pleasure, like instant gratification like that. You know.
Well, I did send all the messages to his family. That gave me pleasure. I mean, they didn't respond, and I knew that they weren't going to. But it was nice that they got it. You know,
Which family?
his mom, sister, brother.
Oh, and you had met them before?
A million times, yeah.
Okay, so you knew them.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So in doing that, you wanted to, they're his family,
Yeah.
and ultimately, they're not gonna.
And I did message his best friends and said, don't be offended, I'm unfollowing you, and here's why. And I forwarded them the messages also.
Right. So
Do you have another question?
Someone wants to did he admit during like the whole period stain debacle and the ED pills, or like later on, that he did cheat on you then, or was he like denying it still?
He would vacillate back and forth. So he would say, I never did anything with her. I just hung out with her. But I did see like Venmo exchanges between them. And I did see little things. I don't need him to tell me what he did because I already know. Like he said it one time. It happened. There's proof.
his word isn't very good at this point.
Everything that he has said to me has been a lie. So it's been a challenge. Yeah. Okay, so I sent the photos to his family and his friends and unfollowed all
Wait,
of them.
photos? The screenshots of the conversation.
I sent the screenshots of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and then I sent them a liposuction picture, and then so that I was horrified. And what else did I? Oh, and then I moved out. That was an adventure. I had to. Yeah, I did it swiftly. Real swiftly.
You did all of this, I think, knowing that the relationship was done. And I know I said this earlier, but like kind of making sure the relationship was done. Because, something like that, even though you're presenting evidence of their friend and family members' wrongdoing, it still makes you look a little unhinged to send all of that. So
I don't care.
No, I'm not saying you do. And I'm saying maybe that's the purpose of doing it, was to really put a fork in it, like I said. Because if you were ever going to get back with this, let's say you found a violation, someone cheated on you, found it, and then you sent it to their family members like that, it would make it much harder to get back with that person, because then there's that awkwardness of the family.
I don't think that they're, like, if that happened to me, and that has happened with my friends and their partners, and they do get back together, and I'm like, okay, all right, let's just throw this under the rug here and move on as if nothing has happened.
Yeah, I don't know how possible that is. That relationship is a sinking ship at that point.
Oh my God, yeah. It's bad. Yeah. But I don't want to get back together. Here's another thing that happened. The night before, we went out to dinner with his family, and we were sitting there, and Dave Matthews Band was on the.
You've got your ball. I'm gonna set the tone. You've got your dream. Time to be 20. I was gonna let you tell the story while I sang it.
Oh, sorry. I love him that much. So it's playing, and I was like, "Oh, Dave!" And that's distracting.
Baby. All right, sorry.
Okay, I need the fiddle. So. So I was like, oh my gosh, I went to 13 of their concerts when I would like sneak out and go, and I'm trying to tell them a story, and they were like, oh, we fucking hate Dave Matthews Band. I was like, okay. So then I just start singing out loud.
The whole family?
It
was like a family of Dave Matthews Band haters?
One of the girlfriends, his brother that I called was really kind and said, yeah, I love him. I love live music. Just like really key, and then, George was like, they're grouse. And so I was like, cool. So I just sang along and was in my own little world. And then the waitress came over, who I love, and she was showing me a baby picture from another bartender. And I was like, oh my God. And right then I was like, I go, I'm supposed to have foster children. Like, that was the plan the whole time. And I can't do that with George. I have to break up with George. In that moment, I was like, I have to break up with George.
Because you knew that was never going to happen with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would never want him to be a father. Like, can you imagine? He would not. He's so abusive. Like, we would ride in the car, and I have a hearing issue. Like, I can't listen to speakers and phones. Like, if people have their music playing, it just hurts my ears. There's like a ring that goes on in there. And the same thing happens in like higher decibels in the car with certain music. So I'd get in the car and I'm like, can you please turn it down? And it would immediately give me a migraine. And he wouldn't turn it down. I'm like, it's giving me a migraine. And he would not give a fuck. So I was like, this is
insensitive, to say the least. Yeah, it's pretty insensitive.
Yeah. So he probably just thought I was being dramatic or something. Because I can be like that. I love it.
I mean, asking somebody to turn music down, once in a while you can blast your music by yourself, but I don't like blasting music anymore, I'm old, but I guess George is too. Still blasting his music.
Yeah, he's old.
His hearing's going to go. Better be careful at that age.
I have my friend Stephanie here who she came to dinner with us, sort of. We went, we were out and about antiquing, and Stephanie, you want to come in? Grab that extra mic and have a seat. Come on into the center.
Hi, Stephanie.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry.
Came in with a bang.
It's okay.
Came in with
It's all
a
right.
bang.
No big deal.
It's all right. Just
It's cool.
just
cool,
water
cool.
on
Cool, cool,
live
cool, cool.
electronics.
Definitely coffee.
Just Xanax laced coffee. No big deal.
That's coffee.
Great.
Everything's fine. No,
Hey! Stephanie. I make an entrance.
we went antiquing. We were trying to find frames, and George texts us like, "Hey, we're in Greenpoint. Do you want us to swing by? Because he always wants us to swing by." And he said, "Actually, yes. Can you come in? I want you to try some food, some of the new menu." So I said, "All right." And then we went to this one crazy place. It was like, it was too much.
Mother of junk. Don't go.
Don't go. Don't go. in
Don't
Greenpoint.
go.
It was crazy.
I walked out with like
another
needing
question?
a tetanus shot.
Yeah, it was really crazy. So we planned on having like a couple hours in there to look through things, but we just couldn't do it. It was like gross.
It was the
And
mother of junk.
It was the mother of
It
junk.
really was exactly the mother of
And the
junk.
stuff was like $100. It was crazy expensive.
I almost spent $80 on an antique toolbox.
but it
It
was
was bad.
It was bad.
It was dirty.
That's
so-
what my teachers used to call my mom back in high
Antique
school.
toolbox?
No, mother of junk. Jesus. No, that's me in like 5 years. Antique toolbox.
5 years. That's generous.
That's you to your girlfriend right now.
Yeah.
She's young.
She's young.
Yes,
She is young. Yeah.
Yes, she's pretty. So, I texted him. I was like, "Hey, we're done early. We're gonna come now." But I didn't realize that between 4 and 5, they cut down on the weekends. That they shut down the kitchen and reset the kitchen.
Perfect time to cheat that hour. Good cheating hour.
So we show up, and I had been gone doing gigs out of town, and I came back, and his hair was like done, and he had like redone his mustache and everything, and he never like cared for his grooming when I was home all the time. And I come back and I go, "Oh, you're gonna do," I was like just kind of jabbing him. I was like, "You're gonna get your hair done and stuff for your boyfriends, like when I'm out of town, you're gonna do it for the boys but not do it for me." And I guess I said it because I only noticed the mustache at first, and then he turned around. I was like, "Oh my God, you got a haircut? You really did it for the boys." And he sat down and
So, first of all, let me preface this with Mara had been texting me. She was like out of town doing comedy, all of this stuff. And she goes, "Oh, before I come pick you up, I have to go to Little Italy because George has these like cookie donuts that he loves. And I want to surprise him and bring them for him." So I'm like, okay. This is so nice of you. So we go, and Mara's kind of poking fun. Anyone who listens to the podcast knows that she likes bantering, and she's just fun in general. So she's poking fun about the haircut. It seems, even like for me, I felt like it was very harmless. And then he lashed the hell out. And he just like went on and was like, "Why can't you just fucking drop it about the haircut? Why are you like going on right now? What is wrong with you?" All of this stuff.
"You think you're fucking funny? You're not fucking funny."
He's like, "You're never funny," which, by the way, George, I was rooting for you. And if anyone in this scenario is not funny, it's you. So I watched Mara slowly sink into like this position and just start sobbing. And unfortunately, this isn't the first time I've witnessed George make her cry. And so I'm in fight mode, and I grab her stuff and I'm like, "Get out." And we cashed out and we left. And I think the worst part of this scenario is
We didn't get to eat.
I mean, yeah, that is true.
I was so
That is
hungry.
the worst part. We were starving. Oh no, the worst part actually. There's two. The worst part is that as he's yelling at her, in public, making a scene in front of customers, employees.
His boss.
His boss. He's eating the donut that she went out of her way to buy him.
That's
And
actually
I'm
all
like,
I could concentrate on was him spitting pieces of it at me. Like while he
Yes.
was yelling at me, I was
Yes.
like, it's coming at me.
Yes.
It's like
It was so bad. It was so bad. And so everyone's uncomfortable. The bartenders, you could
Everyone
tell.
except George, apparently, because
Yeah,
he's just chomping on a donut.
he
I
has
actually
no
asked him, I said,
awareness.
weren't you embarrassed at all? And he goes, no, you made a fool of yourself,
His
not me.
bartenders were like, please don't pay, just go. Like, they wouldn't even let us pay. And so, which I think shows who was in the right and who was in the wrong. But anyways, so I think the worst part, though, is that when, they instantly started texting each other from the car, and he just invalidated your feelings.
Yeah.
And this is the thing about arguments and relationships, is that you have to at least have some kind of care about the person's well-being that you're with. And the fact that you were expressing, and like he could physically see you crying and see how much this upset you, and had like zero remorse, I knew instantly that it was done.
Oh.
But I'm a friend, so I'm not going to tell you that. It was just like, okay, everything's great. Ooh. But I mean, yeah, you guys got into an argument the night we went out for his friend's birthday. And again, he just kind of was like over Psycho,
Oh, yeah.
Miranda.
Oh, yeah. That cunt. His one friend that he never protected me from. And then he was like, why don't you go get the drinks this time? So I went in to get the drinks. And as soon as I went in, he went and talked to her.
So in this scenario, this is what a good friend does. For all those listeners, take notes. You walk up, you stand in between him and the cunt, and you say, hey, George. While Mara stares at you through the bar window, just
I was like giving
this.
daggers. And then he wouldn't let me out. Like I turned around with all the drinks and I was in between two stools and he wouldn't let me out. Like I was like, can you please move so I can leave this stool area? And then I started to panic because he was like trapping me in a very small space and he wouldn't let me out at all. And so I like took my body and just kept pushing it into him until I could get free. It was insane.
But it was another night where there weren't tears, it wasn't a huge blow up, but you like very calmly told him how you were feeling in that moment, and he just kind of like shoved it to the side and wrote it off,
Yeah.
And so I think that the biggest issue is that he has no concern for anyone's feelings
Yeah.
other than yours, or other
Other
than
than
his.
himself.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue is to make sure that Mara avoids this kind of relationship in the future.
Yeah. How do I
Yeah.
do that?
I think you need...
How do we all do that? I feel like we all get into toxic relationships and we keep repeating it.
styles. We have
Yeah.
attachment styles we have to break, and
I was
habits
thinking
we
about
have
that
to break.
today. I was like, I went out with this one guy who was never gonna really like he committed, but he didn't really commit. And I was like, why do I keep repeating this same dude? Even at the
There's
beginning.
so many factors. It sounds like you really, when you're getting out of a relationship, when people get out of relationships, analogy is, you can land the plane and get off the plane and end it that way, or you can crash the plane into the side of a mountain. And
Yeah, I like to crash.
You tend to crash land your relationships. Most people do, and most people at least have some that are crash landed. Like not every relationship is going to end gracefully, even, because it's hard. I mean, it would have ended more gracefully if he would have been direct and not selfish and upfront with you and just said, I can't give you these things. I'm not going to give you these things.
Well, him lashing out at me towards the end, like being really aggressive, made more sense once I figured out that he was cheating.
That was
like,
his way of
oh.
saying it, but it was a shitty way of saying it.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of signs, and that's another thing you can improve at is discovering those signs as they happen and dealing with them, or making a decision whether, these are deal breakers for you, or these are things that you can overcome, or things that you can work on. And if you don't have a partner who's willing to work at it, which it sounded like he really wasn't. I mean, I know some of the things that you guys went through over how long were you guys together? 2 years, a year and a half?
Almost 2.
Almost 2 years. And he made some attempts, you said, but they seemed to be pretty short-lived, or really just it was really just kind of these empty promises. He would say the things he had to say, lip service to me, so you wouldn't leave, it was pretty selfish. But yes, in the future, you could be at a place where you don't let it go on that long to where the plane crash is so dramatic.
I know. I
and
really
the
need
explosion
to
is
find,
that big.
I feel like I need to. I'm like he didn't inspire me at all. Like I didn't. I wasn't. There wasn't anything that he taught me. I was like, I used to love that.
Love is mysterious.
It is crazy, and he wasn't athletic. I do so many athletic things. He went on one hike with me in 2 years, and I go every weekend. It's like, why would I? I need to. What am I doing?
It might have just
I'm
been
doing
his,
this
you
all
might
to
have just been
myself.
attracted to his smell.
Ew. No, it wasn't.
No,
it
no.
wasn't that. It wasn't that.
I'm not.
promise
You
you.
don't. But I'm saying like it doesn't. I'm
Pheromones.
not saying he smelled good. Yeah, it's like
Pheromones,
we're,
yeah.
we're attracted to people for smell. They did this experiment where they had women smell the shirts of these men, and then they just smelled the shirts alone. In a box, so they couldn't even see the shirt. They just smelled it, and then they picked the men they were attracted to, and it was almost perfect that it lined up with the smells they liked on the shirts.
Wow.
So smell, like there's all these factors. We're animals, there's all these factors about attraction and love that we really can't overcome. But what you can do is look out for yourself. And even if you fall for someone, not be taken advantage of just because you are, bonded with someone or because you're attracted to someone or you care about someone.
Well, when I was like trying to trust him again, I read this dumb meme and it said, the only way that you're going to know if you can trust someone is by doing it. And so I was like, okay, he's cheated once. He was working 2 different jobs, so I never knew where he was. And so he had like a lot of freedom. And I just told myself, you just have to trust him. Like you just
Some
have
relationships
to do
come
it.
back from one time cheating and they get better and stronger. That's not impossible. That happens often. That a married couple will just be languishing for years. Somebody will cheat, and then it'll be the conversation starter they needed to figure out their own shit and work on their own sex life and relationship. So the fact that you forgave him for cheating and moved on from that isn't such a terrible thing. But it sounds like there were other things that happened along the way that showed that he wasn't prioritizing you, he wasn't treating you the way that you deserve, and he wasn't committing to giving you the future that you want, more importantly.
Yeah, and I think the important thing with that is like when you're going through the breakup process to think about.
She's from Michigan, everyone. Sorry about her accent.
Sorry.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry,
Gosh.
guys. Oh my gosh.
She was such a
Oh, boy.
dickhead. Gosh.
And what I told him was I
And
just
then
told him straight.
What I
he
said.
just went out to the
I
cabin.
said, George. I said, George. George, that's my friend. Okay?
Fuck all of you. But the thing is, so there's this dumb project that you can do, and I actually did it because I was in such a toxic relationship once that I couldn't see my way out of, where I got a jar and I got 3 colored pieces of paper, and depending on how I felt about the person I was with that day, I would put in a specific color. So one was I felt negative, one was I felt neutral, one was I felt positive.
And when she dropped a match in it, you knew it was really
and then
bad.
you knew it was done. But so you
Oh
see
my gosh, that went right up
you
in
see
flames.
it like fill up, and all of a sudden your jar's full of all of these like red sticky notes, and you're like, oh, like shit, this is how you have to do it, like
Whoa,
in the
so you
moment.
gave yourself a visual.
Which
and
helps.
a record. You were keeping tabs, kind of.
And in the same way, you have to kind of think of like regularly through the breakup process, reminding yourself of all of the hikes you went on alone, of all of the trips you went on alone, of all of the comedy shows that he wasn't in the audience at, all of these things. You've done so many things to support him. And I mean, during the duration that I've like known you, he hasn't done the same at all. And I think that that's the purpose of being in a relationship, is to have that partner who supports you equally.
Does Kelly come to your shows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very supportive. But,
Cool.
but that's not...
But you just have to like remind yourself of those things, because it's easy to think of the fun things that you've done and whatever. But I think for you, because I know you really well, it's easy to be a little bit vengeful, which I've seen the past few days that we've been staying together.
What do you
but what? Who, me?
The thing about it is I know that therapy, blah, 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 you're supposed to just, deal with it.
Boring.
But I feel like men take so much advantage. I'm so sick of it that I'm just like, no. There are consequences to negative behavior.
I think that's a fair way to feel. It is.
Yeah, it is. And the worst revenge that you can think of is the fact that you're not with him, and that's revenge enough. But I think,
Rihanna, bitch.
You know what the worst revenge is?
Rihanna.
The worst revenge actually is no contact at all.
Yeah.
I know that through
Agreed.
my relationships, the people who I've broken up with that like cut me off completely when the relationship ended, it gave me more to ponder than when you stay in touch. So
well, he owes me money, so
no, I know.
Once
that's
done, it's done.
And I do think that by you showing that you value yourself so much that you're just cutting him out completely, I think that I think eventually, and I'm not saying that this is the goal for him to feel bad and for him to feel lost and for him to feel like he made a big mistake, but I think that that's very possible if you do no contact, and maybe even will be beneficial for him. Maybe he'll learn from that, but he'll never learn if.
But his feelings are also irrelevant because your feelings are what are I think all of us are more concerned about. Yeah. And I think that so there's studies that show that when a person breaks their leg, certain parts of their brain, in a scan, light up. And the same parts of your brain light up when you go through a breakup. And so our body almost associates that emotional pain with physical pain as well. And you wouldn't suppress or try to hide the pain of breaking your leg right here. But I mean, it's a little bit easier to try to hide and stuff emotional pain down.
I know. I talked to my sister in fourth or fifth. I was like, hey, I just want to let you know this happened. And she goes, well, he did it once before, So, and I go, oh, the I told you so dance is a little early right now. And then she goes, here's what you need to do. You need to go get an STD test and maybe sign up for kickboxing. And I was like,
wow.
I was like, thanks, Ed.
Who needs therapy?
I know.
Who needs it?
I was like, just shove it down with some light boxing gloves, push it way down.
And there's something to be said for sublimating and taking these feelings and putting them into your art and your comedy and your work, and that's awesome, and you are going to do that. But nothing that I think will ultimately hurt you.
Yeah, I know. I did do some things on the way out, super fun things that I thought were great. He has this huge jar of change, and I did spill it everywhere, and then threw his clothes on top of it, and I got all my things out, and I was like, okay, this one's mine. That's not mine. This is mine. Just some fun stuff.
On a scale of 1 to Fatal Attraction, you weren't that bad.
No.
You didn't burn bunnies.
No. Nothing that he couldn't just pick up annoyingly for a long time.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and
for
nothing
hours.
that a conversation with
Hours.
his mom, you didn't do anything that's a felony offense.
No. And I
I
did
don't
ask
think,
him.
unless you're just not admitting to the felony.
No.
Okay.
I did ask him all of the questions that I wanted to know the answers to. Here's the thing that bothered me. So I did write to the girls right away, and I was like, hey, he had a girlfriend while you guys were communicating. I know it doesn't say that in this here that I can see, but he did. One of the girls was like, oh, I guess that you weren't fulfilling him. I was like, okay, women, let's be. I go,
Wait,
I don't.
who said that?
This rando stranger woman.
Why was there a rando stranger woman? In
I
the
was
correspondence
responding
between.
to yeah.
Oh, I see.
And then.
So she came back at you.
And
she lashed out
said,
back at
I'm
you.
not here for that. I said, I'm just giving you facts. I don't need your.
Right. Well.
Yeah. And then.
It's quality of the people that he.
I know. And then.
Was that corresponding with?
So he went back afterwards and said, basically, I should have been more honest to them. That bothered me.
Wait, how do you know that?
Because he told me.
Oh.
He goes, yeah. I go, are you going to see those girls? Did you hang out with them? And he goes, no, I went back and I told her I should have been honest with you. I was like, you told a random stranger that you should have been honest with them?
I heard they're in couples therapy, actually.
And not your girlfriend of 2 years? What? It was crazy.
No more George.
No more George. That was actually the first thing you were like, as a friend. I love how you always preface everything. As a friend, no more George.
Is that what I said?
Yes.
All right. And I think
Yeah.
but I think that, and the thing is with Mara is that you don't know 100%. You don't know that she's not going to crawl out of that plane that has been,
I'm alive!
Yeah, that has been crashed into the side of a mountain and climb on top of George's lifeless body.
No, I'm not going to go
yeah,
back.
I know you're not actually this time, but that's important. That's rule number one.
The last few times I've wanted to text him and be like, I want to be in communication. Last night he picked me up. I did Narcissista's podcast. It should be out soon. It was so fun. And then he picked me up from there in Bushwick and dropped me off at home. And on the way, I didn't say 2 words to him. And I said, I'm really angry with you and I don't want to talk to you. And he said, that's understandable. And I gave him his computer that I had and his house keys. And then he owes me. He had to do payments for what he owes me, and so he paid me one thing, and then sent me a text about like if he doesn't pay by a certain day, then I can take him to small claims court, and then I go cool later. And as soon as I received that text, I went, I'm out, and I didn't say goodbye. I just bounced, and then he texts me. He goes, can I please have my cowboy shirt that you bought me from the bike ride? And I go, oh, when you were cheating on me from the first time?
God.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, you have some fucking balls.
Wow.
Yeah.
We
went into the store. He couldn't afford the shirt, so I bought it for him and brought it back.
And you know what the problem is with this kind of relationships now, with as much baggage as you guys have and how much negativity is unfolded, is that even if, let's say, no one's letting this happen, but if you did get back, right, and you made it work somehow, and you had a couple good years, if the first violation, all of this comes flooding back.
Yes.
So it's like a tidal wave. When you have one problem in a relationship that has had this level of problems, when you have one problem, even years later, it opens these floodgates, and it just makes it very, very hard when you guys have gone down this road to make it work. So I think you have to give up on that in a real serious way, like really give up on a future with him. And I'm not saying you haven't.
I mean, well, I've been taking Xanax to sleep, and it's really kind of making me foggy, you know? And so I don't know if these are my true feelings, but I feel
And Stephanie was right that breakups can resemble physical illness. You know,
I did have
you
strep
can
throat
feel
all
nauseous and
weekend.
you can have problems sleeping, and there are real physical symptoms to heartbreak. So allow yourself to have that. Don't say you're crazy for doing that. You know, if you can't give what you can give, but it will get better. And and
he would tell me that all the time. He would say that I was crazy, and he said it again on the phone when I was asking him. I said, I'm not crazy. You need to stop
his
saying
best evidence for you being crazy is you being with him.
that.
You know?
Fuck you.
Well, I'm just saying, and that's probably not what he meant.
Yeah.
He probably wasn't saying you're crazy because you're with me. But that is,
I know.
the worst decision you were making for yourself was that. Once that decision is gone, you are pretty you do take pretty good care of yourself. I
do
think.
take great care.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been eating the past couple of days.
Well, that's okay. That's heartbreak appetite loss.
Oh my God, it's
totally
great.
fine.
You can see almost all my ribs. It's so awesome.
Lose some weight.
I just need 3 more and then I'm good.
It is a normal thing. Heartbreak eating disorder. Totally
It's
normal.
my new diet.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't feel like I want to get, when I looked at him last night, I was like, because I really don't have any attraction to a man until I like them, until I like their personality.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody looks the same pretty much, and then as soon as I like
You have
them,
face
then
blindness until you like them.
I like them, and then I'm like, oh,
or you
he's
smell
hot.
them. Remember what I said earlier?
The smelling?
The smell's part of it too.
He smelled so bad.
Yeah, but there must have been something.
He didn't take care of himself so much that he got ringworm on his ass crack once.
Oh man, you sure that wasn't from the ass enlargement? What did he have? Ass inflation? What is it called?
That's how they found it.
Am I just maybe I'm just a spoiled brat that's always had a pretty cute butt, and maybe I
you
shouldn't.
do have a nice ass.
Maybe I shouldn't mock those that need butt.
You know what?
Support.
I
just
honestly,
never heard
don't.
of that.
I don't shame him for having the procedure at all. I think he should have been much more honest about it with everyone. He tried to keep it a secret. He scheduled a tattoo for after his compression garment
Is it
could
going to
come
be like
off.
a tramp stamp right above his new butt?
You like outline the ringworm. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't shame him for that. If anybody wants to, like, I have clients that have lost 100 pounds and they go and they get this extra skin taken off, and I commend them for that.
I just was shocked at that. That's all.
Oh.
Yeah, I wasn't mocking
No, I just
it.
wanted everyone to know. Like, it's funny. It can be a funny joke, but also I don't think it's. If you want to do it, go for it.
Do
I've
it.
done shit. I mean, look at these tits. they're so fake.
I didn't know that even. But.
What? They're halfy. They're only 125 cc's.
Okay.
So I do have a lot of breast tissue of my own, but I did get
Augmentation. Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
See that?
I
Still
know.
learning about my friends.
I got it in Michigan. I had it in Michigan. A doctor in Michigan. He's the best.
Oh, we're gonna make them look nice. Oh yeah.
Oh my
Perfect.
gosh, they're gonna look so perky. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So yeah, I definitely don't feel like I'm gonna get back together with him. I don't want to communicate with him right now. I have no urge.
And maybe
I
don't
just want
date
him
for
to
a
pay me.
minute, right?
Oh, that's the other thing. I don't want everyone. I love everyone so
Oh,
much.
you're getting hit up.
I'm getting a lot of hit ups. I'm like, can you just give me a fucking second to breathe? One time I broke up with this guy in college.
A lot of grammatically incorrect messages
Yo.
about you being single now.
Well, I did put up an ass picture on Instagram.
What else is new?
I know, I know. But in college, I was going out with this guy that I was like head over heels in love with, and then we broke up. And then my best friend, who was a guy, the day we broke up, he was like, "Hey, I've always had feelings for you." I was like, "Can you wait 3 days? Like,
Oh,
let
yeah.
this cool off."
Yeah, give it a minute.
Yeah,
I mean, you
so-
never know when you're gonna meet someone that you like who's a good person either. So you don't want to like turn.
I honestly would love to fuck somebody and like make out with them because
You
George
haven't
never,
done that yet.
No,
You didn't have
tomorrow, I
anybody
a
waiting.
plan.
Oh, you have. You have
Yeah, I
somebody waiting in the
set up
wings.
for
All
tomorrow.
right.
Yeah.
Is that being live streamed also? Or
Yes.
That's being live streamed.
I hope he records it. He's so hot. So yeah, I was like, I would love to just make out with somebody because George never did that and just get fucked from like the top, like me not be on top. That would be awesome.
Right, I forgot about
Right?
those preferences. Well, if you're listening, mystery man, now you know what to do.
What?
Wear a blanket.
It does.
A little
What?
blanket. Little blanket on top.
Do you know how hard it is to do mini squats for like forever?
I do not.
It is. We should just practice right now.
I've done some squats.
It's like, especially, like you just have this much range. You're like, okay, here we are.
I want to do mini squats on you forever.
Or until my legs give up, which is right now. Okay, you got it. You gotta, like, let me. Yeah, so that's all I want. But I don't want
Well,
it to
I don't
be
think
emotional.
that'll be too hard to procure. In fact, it sounds like you already have.
Yeah, I've got it all set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then in going forward with your dating life, you're going to need a friend, therapist, comedian to
/ co-host.
to give you support and advice along the way. Maybe real therapy too. I don't think that would hurt, since I can't technically be your
I
therapist.
do have a real therapist.
Oh, you do?
I do, yeah.
Is it real or is it like a life coach?
No, it's a real. Oh my God, we had Colin on here.
Oh, sorry. But you know what I mean. They're limited. They
No, it's a
life
real
coaches
therapist.
are limited.
I
being
put her on
vain
pause
and
for like 3
attractive.
weeks because it was too messy in her office. Like she had some clients that like had things that they needed to associate
If it's
with.
not
that
the
were,
right
like,
therapist, then you got to move on. If the therapist is too messy.
I know,
you know?
I can't relax unless the things are clean, unless it's clean.
Okay,
So I
you
was
got to
like,
find a better
you
therapist
gotta-
then maybe.
Really?
Well, I don't know. I
Then
mean,
you got to
if-
start all over again. It's like
how long
a
you
whole
been seeing this
thing.
person?
4 years.
Okay, that's a long time.
Maybe it is time to move on.
Maybe.
She's not helping. I'm not fixed.
Maybe not. You might need. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll
Okay.
refer you off camera.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, I think that's good, right?
I think so. Yeah.
What do you guys think? Casey, did you want to add? You've seen us a lot.
Yeah. I can add in. Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Casey's a bat.
Casey,
Never heard that
my roommate for the summer.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I met George actually for the first time at his 45th birthday party last November, almost like a month ago, right?
Right after I found out he was cheating.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you were like, yeah. So and you,
I
like,
was a
still threw the
disaster.
party for him.
I threw a surprise birthday party for him the day I found out that the day after I found out he was cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did.
And you came and you were my savior.
Yeah, and I was really nervous about going.
Because we had only met once.
Yeah, we barely knew each
In
other.
Cincinnati on my bike ride. I met her and she goes, "Hey, I just moved to town." I was like, "Come to this party with me, please."
Come to a 45th birthday party I'm
Of my-
throwing for
of
my
my
boyfriend
cheating
who I just
boyfriend.
found out cheated on me. That's like there was this thing in the Post a couple days ago where this woman walked in on her it was a couple days before the wedding. A woman walked in on her fiance with a bridesmaid and like she was drunk and he was like assaulting her
No.
and she attacked him, beat him up. Police came, arrested him. and then it ends the thing with the bride and groom got married the next day.
No.
Yeah. So don't feel too bad, Mary. You're not.
Oh
You could be worse.
Oh.
You could be worse. You could be worse for sure. Just putting it in perspective. But back to this. Yeah,
I don't like to be embarrassed in public, so I'd already sent out the invitations. Everyone had already
Right, I
RSVP'd.
understand. And you're listen. Don't beat yourself up for being a good person and for wanting to not sabotage this already invited party. You could have done that. You could have been like, "Fuck you, the party's off. You cheated."
Yeah.
But you didn't, and it doesn't make you a bad person. But it's just something to think about for the future. That's all. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
But I think something that does need to be said about George is that he's a very charming guy at times. Like,
Yes.
sure, he is a major asshole like 80% of the time, but 20% of the time he does know like the way he did like act around you and stuff. Like, he was very, I remember him being very like touchy feely with you, like always having like an arm around you, like
Yes, I did like that.
yeah, and he was always like, he would go back and forth on being like concerned about how much you're eating, like in a good way, like because you tend to not eat.
Yes.
Because you're so busy, and he would get really worried about stuff like that, and like your well-being, and if you're getting enough sleep. He didn't like it when you would go out too much, or like when you were wearing yourself too thin. Like
I like this, Casey, because you're the first. This is the first time I've heard anything positive about this person.
I know. I was just thinking that. I was like, I forgot to mention anything positive. There
Ever
were
though, I don't think I
positive-
ever
Yeah.
heard anything positive about George because I was always brought in when there was a problem.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if there's a problem, you're only going to hear
Yeah.
the problem.
So I mean, like hearing this is like okay.
Everybody knows
it's
that
giving
there's
me a little
positive things.
perspective that it
Okay.
wasn't completely 100% one-sided. That's all.
Yeah, he would come up with cute date ideas. Like he'd put numbers in a jar and a direction, and I would pick out like minutes that we were going to drive, and then north, south, east, west. I'd pick out that, and we'd
Right.
drive, and then that was our date. It's wherever we ended up. So there were very cute things that we did.
He may have loved you as much as he's capable of. Sadly, I
Yeah.
say I ended that with sadly, because
Mm-hmm.
who knows? I mean, that might be who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's incapable of changing who he is, but I also don't think he cares to try. But I think that he did try a little bit for you. Like, I just re-listened to when he was on the podcast and stuff, and he was admitting that he really liked being with you, and it just hasn't been spoken enough about like why you were with him for so long. Like, there was a reason. It was because he
absolutely.
was charming you, and a lot of people were just like really confused as to why you were with him for so long.
Okay, so
It's important.
he also would like hold me all night, and whenever we were, or I do like that. I do love the physical hold because I feel safe. Like I always am just searching to feel safe, and he
An affectionate side.
yeah. So he had that, and he would do that. But yeah, that was nice. That was really nice. He did always care for me, and we did have a good time. We did laugh. I mean, not at the end a lot, and which is what my brain remembers now. But we did have a good time. He came to Atlantic City right before I left on my trip. I was on my bike trip. I was having panic attacks all the time because I was like I didn't think I was prepared enough, and I showed up in Atlantic City, and I couldn't breathe. I was having such a panic attack. So he got on a bus, and he came there, and he just like sat me in the tub and held my hand and stared at me and was like, "Okay, breathe with me, okay." So he did have those positive things about him. He can be a great person. He just only is that for a second, and then it's George. Yeah. So thank you as soon as you said that, I was like, oh my God, I haven't said anything nice about him. I should have said some positive
Well,
things.
and this isn't necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think it's to say something nice. Sorry. I don't think it's like the point of it is to like say something nice and try and defend him as a person. It's to explain like why you were with him.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yes.
it could sound like you were just a complete martyr.
Yeah, like you were just trying to fix an impossible
I don't
project.
give up on anything. I mean, other than once you marry me, then I will fucking leave. But I will give 100% to every relationship until that thing is dead. The horse is dead. I'm still on top of it. It's like, and then I finally will. I just don't want to give up on people. I just feel like people have so much, like even if they're hurting or they're doing something wrong, you should still give them a chance because people just do wrong shit, like I've made mistakes.
And it's sad because you bond with someone, and then a breakup generally means that person's going to be dead to you eventually. Maybe not right away, but that person is going to not exist in your life at all. So, that makes sense as to why you are so kind of steadfast in your attempts to make it work.
Yeah, I like to keep. I have a border collie. I'm like, people are like their dogs. I like to keep everyone herded in, close.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, but unfortunately, not everyone is good for you.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I, as your friend, really hope that you don't talk to George. Like, I know that in the past with some of your other breakups, you continued to text with him and stuff, and I think that's been, like, really detrimental towards you. I think that because you have this instinct to not want to give up on someone because you care so much about everyone, that I think that having him, texting him and stuff, it's just going to maybe make it easier for you to slip back into, I can fix it.
I know. I did have a dream last night that, which is very weird, that we were like out and something was going on over on the other side of this creek, and we had to rush over there. So I grabbed his hand and we ran, which is so unlike us. Like, he doesn't hold my hand ever. And like, I only hold his arm, and he never runs. Like, every time I would walk, he would say, this was a trigger to a fight. He would say, you need to slow down, walk my speed. And I was like, can you just pick up the pace just a little bit? Like, I can't, this is uncomfortable how slow we were walking. So in the dream, when we were running, I woke back up and I was like, that's so strange, because we never went faster than like turtle speed. So I thought that was odd. And that was last night or this morning. I don't know. I haven't been sleeping. I've been sleeping for like 6 minutes at a time, which is super fun.
Yeah.
You should try it. It's like the Van Gogh.
6 minute sleep intervals?
It's microdosing sleep. That's what I'm doing.
I mean, they say that it's like a lot of geniuses tend to only sleep in like 20-minute, like
hell yes.
2 hour increments.
I'm like super genius.
And die in their 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
No, don't do that.
Well, she already made it past her 20.
Barely.
Just
barely.
a touch. Yeah. Yeah. So the one thing that I'm thinking,
you know what? If it sounds like too much to say you're never going to talk to George again, give yourself a shorter but still meaningful goal of like a year. Like, I'm not going to talk to him for a year from now, no matter what. And look, if a year from now things change and he looks like he's made some changes, I'm in a certain place, then maybe we could chat. At least that goal is a meaningful amount of time for you to really get through it and give yourself a chance to move on. And I'm not saying you will ever talk to him again. It's probably better that you don't, but at least that is would sound manageable to you and not overwhelming and not so devastating, but it's something you could have to really promise yourself. That would be my suggestion, but I don't know.
Yeah.
so what do I do about my stuff and him paying me back?
Oh, you finish whatever you got to finish first, sure.
Okay.
But then
Maybe
but
I'll
then
just
after
give like
that-
a friend the stuff to give to
that's
him,
better
so I
if
don't
you
have
can.
to see him.
If you can.
You know.
Yeah.
I also, here's what I'm thinking. So listeners, let me know. So I have these dresses that like, I went to a Sweet 16 again after the whole cheating incident, and I wore this really fun dress, and I really want to have a more positive association with it. And then my Mexico yellow dress that I wore, I want to have a fun. So what if we throw like a breakup party where we all wear the dresses or outfits or whatever you have a negative association with, and have a fun association with it.
So
Bring Molly. What?
We have a party with all of these kind of tainted
Yes.
wardrobe.
Outfits.
I don't know if I have a a bad luck wardrobe clothing item. I have good luck clothing items, but they probably don't work either. I have good luck underwear. But
do you have a negative association outfit?
You have enough. You have enough for all of us.
I can just share with you
I'll
guys.
wear the yellow dress.
It's so hot. It's so hot. It's compression.
Yeah.
I'll fill it out. Well, I don't know. I'm up for it. I just would have to figure out, what did I wear last time? Something really shitty happened to me. I could figure it out.
I know. So we'll keep everybody updated. But
Maybe
I think
we could
that would be
auction
super
off
fun.
those dresses for
No.
good luck. No?
No.
Rent the runway?
No. They're very nice.
All right.
I put a lot of time and effort into those outfits.
All right. So we'll reframe those. We'll reframe them.
Yes,
All
I
right.
want to reframe them with positive memories, so that when I look at my Instagram, because I've already deleted him off my Instagram. When I look at my Instagram,
It's 2 dresses? Is there
It's
two
only
dresses?
2.
All right, so it's 2 events.
What's
Yeah.
the other one? The yellow one?
I can just do a costume change, and then the black one that I posted yesterday.
What about a live
Mhm.
podcast?
In the outfits?
Yeah.
Yeah, can we drink?
Yeah, why not? Well, I think you can. Can't you?
Yeah, but
Go
I
on
want to
podcast
like
and
dance and have fun.
Oh, okay. Right. I know. I'm so old. I'm like, where can we sit and talk?
Yeah.
In those
I know.
dresses. All right, we'll party.
Yeah, no, I want to party.
All right.
Yeah.
I haven't
God,
partied
you
since
are
2006, but
I
I'm
know. Okay, so I think that's enough. I think did the listeners have any more questions? Anything? No? Okay,
We're all
beautiful.
saying, keep Mark back.
Actually, they were all saying how much they loved you the
Aw.
entire time. There were lots of hearts the entire time.
Oh my God, I do love all of you guys so much. I'm gonna cry again, but all the messages that you guys have been sending have been so nice. I do love you guys. All right, don't look at me. Look away! I'm kidding. Yeah, it's been super nice, and it's been really hard, but it's gonna be fine.
It's definitely going to be fine. You're going to be better for it. You're going to actually learn from it. You really are.
Yeah, I might cry on top of the guy I'm fucking tomorrow, but you know, whatever. It's gonna be good. And he's gonna make out with me, even with snot running down my face.
You know,
I think
and
he'd be into it.
and you know the truth is, once you get into a really healthy long-term relationship,
With
and you know,
myself?
I don't know how great this podcast is going to be. So you know, you count your blessings. You take this shitty situation, put it into your art and your work, and then when you have a healthy relationship, your career's over. So no, you'll be fine.
Cool.
I'm making
cool.
I'm writing good jokes.
Yeah, I know you did say that so early. You were like, "Oh, that's gonna be a funny joke." Right away, I was like, "Mark, I missed it."
Sorry, I know, but it, you know, it's something we have that a lot of people don't have.
You
I
were
know.
thinking it.
Oh my God, for sure. I was like, "This is gonna be so."
Yeah,
good
did
for
you
my
work any of it
set."
when you were performing on the back of a pickup truck out
I
there?
did actually.
That was
I just
cool
thought
looking. That was kind of
it
fun.
was so fun.
Were
Yeah.
they cool? Was it a cool
Yeah,
crowd?
I told everybody. I was very honest, and then I told him all about his heartburn sex, and
Oh, you did?
yeah, fuck yeah. I told him about.
And where was this in down
the
south, right?
Yeah, I told him that he had to take ED pills. I told him.
Where was this?
In North Carolina.
North Carolina. Wow.
And I was like, you guys are. I mean, this is hot. I've been turned on the whole time because they had like gun racks. And, like,
Yeah, North Carolina
knives.
ED pill is like a rare steak.
Yeah, they're like, what?
He went to the doctor. I never been. I've never been to a doctor.
I just polished my gun and I feel better. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm into it. I'm wet.
Yeah, so you emasculated him in front of all these really manly Southern dudes.
I mean, I just told the story.
Just the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. And then, yeah, next week we'll be back to funny.
It wasn't funny. There were some funny moments.
I mean,
Come on.
there were definitely funny moments.
Yeah,
it was
we
just
had
very
everything.
sad.
That's the best, right?
Yes.
We had tears of laughter.
This is going to
and-
be the last one, I promise everyone.
How many have
the
there been?
last breakup.
Oh, break up
3?
ever? Don't promise them that.
No.
Oh, between
with
you and
George.
George, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll
I'm
be her
not
last
gonna-
breakup with
yeah,
George. You can hold her to
break up,
that.
Yeah,
but,
for
you
sure.
know.
If there's no way. I did buy
Every
him some-
breakup's your last until you're.
Oh! I have some sponsor Figs gave us some. Figs is one of our sponsors. It's for medical professionals. They're an awesome company. It's wearfigs.com, and they have compression socks. It's like really cool scrubs, and I got him a whole bunch of socks. So we've got to give those away. And I also
All
have
right, I'll take 'em.
Yankee tickets that I was going to give him. We should give those. I'm not giving them to you.
Oh no, I'm not interested in the Yankee tickets. I just wanted the compression socks. Wait, Yankee playoff tickets?
Yeah,
Whoa,
I know.
fancy.
Well, his birthday's next week, so.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. So I got him Yankee tickets.
So you're
Anyway,
gonna give them away
Why not? I'm
on,
not
on
gonna
the
use them.
podcast or to
Yeah,
a?
we should, right?
Whoa, yeah.
I'll figure it out. I'm gonna figure out how we can do this so it's fair. And
You're gonna get a
we
lot
can
more
have-
male listeners next week.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Send me your dick pics. I want weird. The weirder,
I heard
the
you
better.
had Yankees tickets
I'll
and you
hurt-
single. All letter
Here's
U's.
my dick next to a remote. Here it is next
Here's
to
my
a
dick next to
tube.
a mini Yankees bat. I think I deserve the tickets because.
So we'll figure that out. Yeah. Oh.
You got your ball, you've got
Sing along, Casey.
your chain. Time to make that time. When you come crash into you, baby, I'm coming to you. Let the boys sing. Let the boys sing. That was her nice way of saying, "Baby
We're
Matthew
old.
sucks."
I know. All right,
You don't have
thanks
to
you
say
guys
it that way, you know. It's
so
nasty
much.
of them.
Mark, where can we find you?
Recording my album at the New York Comedy Festival, November 10th, Sunday at 6 and 8 p.m. It will mostly be really somber relationship advice. I'd love for you to come check it out. 1 hour of that. And Instagram photo, no, she didn't. Photo, no, she didn't.
Yes, and I have a show in the New York Comedy Festival as well, November 6th at 8 p.m. here at Sound Lounge. It's called Live Edits. We're doing a storytelling show.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's going to be badass. And so come to that. I have the link up in my Instagram also. And then you can follow me at Mara Marek. Please follow Happy Never After podcast on Instagram. I'm sure a lot of you already did because you're here with us right now live. And
Thanks for welcoming me back.
You're back.
Mara
You're back.
and the audience. You know, I'm trying to give everyone what's called intermittent reinforcement. It's the most powerful type of reinforcement. Variable ratio. You never know when you're going to get me. And then I pop up.
I try to text you. I know.
Sorry.
I know. Casey, where can we
I
find
was hoping that would be cut.
you?
In my bed, mostly.
With her dog?
Yeah, with Mars' dog. Just chilling, drinking some wine. Yeah, I have nothing.
She put on a blazer for this, ladies and gentlemen.
I had a job interview.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
And I also have like a job. I work in wine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure she does. No, I'm just kidding.
we all work in wine.
Yeah, so please rate, review, share. Maybe Andrew will call me back. All right, you guys have been awesome, and I love you. Thank you.
Thank you.